Good morning. Today we are going to read a poem, Geography Lesson by Brian Patton. Brian Patton is mainly famous as an English poet and author. He became famous mainly in the year 1960s as one of the Liverpool poets. Liverpool poets refer to a large number of 1960s influential poets from Liverpool, England. He primarily writes lyrical poetry, a kind of poetry that can be sung like a song, and his poems are mainly based on human relationships. Now, let us come to what the poem is about. The poem is about a teacher whose desires and wishes are depicted in a simple and realistic way. Through the poem, the poet tries to show that the teacher is such a personality who has a great passion for his own subject, but in most of the cases, it is seen that his dreams and wishes remain unfulfilled till the end of his life. And at last, the poet also tries to show that the status of a teacher is not very high in the society, yet his desires and wishes are beyond imagination. Now, let us come to the first stanza of the poem Geography Lesson by Brian Patton. Our teacher told us one day he would leave and sail across a warm blue sea to places he had only known from maps and all his life had longed to be. Through these lines, the poet wants to say that his teacher used to say that one day he would sail across a warm blue sea to enjoy those beautiful places which he had only known from maps. It means the teacher wanted to leave his dull, boring, and unsatisfactory life and visit these beautiful, exciting places so that he could enjoy and have some fun at least for some time in his life. So, by these lines, the poet wants to express the inner feelings and desires that his teacher had all his life. Now let us come to the second stanza of the poem. The lines are as follows. The house he lived in was narrow and grey, but in his mind's eye he could see sweet scented jasmine flowers clinging to the walls and green leaves burning on an orange tree. He spoke of the lands he longed to visit where it was never drab or cold. Through these lines, the poet wants to show the social status and the imaginative power of his geography teacher. And thus he says that the house in which his teacher lived was narrow and simple. This shows that the life of his teacher was dull, boring, limited, and uninteresting. But he has imaginative power. And that's why he could imagine a place where the houses had fragrant jasmine flowers clinging to the walls and green leaves shining brightly on an orange tree due to the bright sunshine. The poet further says that his teacher wanted to visit the places that are warm and interesting. Now see the next two lines of the poem. I couldn't understand why he never left and shook off the school's strangled hold. Here the poet says that he could not understand why means his teacher was not able to come out of the stronghold of the school and spend some time in traveling to some exciting and interesting places. These two lines also show that the life of a school teacher remains so busy and complex that he or she hardly gets any time for his or her personal enjoyment. Now see the second last stanza of the poem. Then halfway through his final term, he took ill and never returned, and he never got to that place on the map where the green lips of the orange trees burned. The maps were redrawn on the classroom wall. His name was forgotten. It faded away, but a lesson he never knew he taught is with me to this day. Here, the poet wants to say that his teacher then got ill in the middle of the final exam and never returned to the school. According to him, he might have died unexpectedly, and so he could never sail to his wished place, having green leaves shining brightly on an orange tree. Later, it happens that a new teacher was appointed in his place. The maps were hung on the classroom wall, and the name of his previous geography teacher was forgotten. But whatever the lessons his teacher taught to him still remains with him. So, here the lines of the poem show that there was a strong attachment between the poet and his geography teacher, and in view of this, he is still present in his heart, mind, and soul. Now let us come to the last stanza of the poem. I travel to where the green lips burn, to where the oceans glass clear and blue, to all those places my teacher taught me to love, but which he never knew. Here, the poet says that he is deeply affected by his teacher's unfulfilled desire, that he decides not to repeat the mistake done by his teacher, and so he travels to those places that his teacher had longed to visit. He also visits the places where the green lips shine brightly and the water of the ocean appears blue and as clear as glass.